Hello traders, welcome to the weekly market overview with me Pierre from PAFX. This week I will not be able to have a live session, so I'm doing a recording. As usual, when I can't do a live session, you always get a recording with the overview, and I will try to make it as short as possible without missing any important charts. So please, if you like these sessions, do not forget to hit the like button. If you are new to the session, feel free to subscribe to be able to get notification when I go live or when I upload a new video. We will start with the disclaimer as usual. Please read it carefully to be aware about the risk involved in trading, and that these sessions are only the way I see and the way I will trade the market, and it's not a signal in any way. So for next week, guys, I think we're gonna have a really bumpy ride week. We have a lot of major news coming up with Fed news and rate hike. We do have the euro as well, gonna be talking rate as well, and of course the BOJ on Friday. And we do have some sterling news as manufacturing production. Tuesday we do have inflation number for the USA, also very important. Inflation for the sterling as well on Wednesday, and then FOMC, which gonna be the most important event of the week, I think. The rate hike is very expected, and I think it's already priced in. So what's important here is the FOMC press conference and the economic projections to really see if we're gonna get a hawkish or dovish hike to be able to distinguish what will be the next step from here. So it's not about the rate itself, it's almost priced in and everyone is expecting the 2% hike, but we should keep an eye on what will be said in the statement itself, how hawkish or dovish are the FOMC. Thursday, Aussie news, employment and unemployment numbers. Then we got sterling retail sales and the euro refinancing rate. The same thing there. No one is expecting anything to happen to change with the rate, but the most important is the ECB press conference. Since last week we heard a lot of members talking about the QE, and probably we're gonna have some new news about that after this meeting, so keep an eye on that. Core retail sales for and retail sale for USA as well, and Friday the BOJ, and that is tentative as usual. So as I said, very important week, and it could be lots of ups and downs, so you should be very careful and managing your risk wisely, because some pairs gonna spike the first day, and the day after, when we get the next central banks doing their talks, we're gonna see another spike, maybe in the opposite direction. So be aware of that and keep your eyes on those press conferences. They're gonna be the most important. So for the Dixie, guys, we did reach that important resistant level the week before last week, and we got rejection with this inverted hammer here, or inverted doji, call it what you want, but we got rejection from the highs up here. At that same time, our RSI on the weekly was on the extreme overbought. And last week, as you see, the rejection continued, and we closed below the lows of the week earlier. So we do have, in a technical name of it, a bit evening star formation on the Dixie, which is actually a reversal pattern. And looking at the weekly RSI and this rejection, one could expect probably some more downside for the dollar, based mostly on technical levels. Now what we should be waiting for is the next week the FOMC and the statement to see if we're gonna get a hawkish or a dovish hike. I think if we got a dovish hike, the continuation to the downside is very, very possible, and that we probably gonna test the MS1 level after that. But as I said, all depends on how the statement look like. Otherwise, if we got hawkish rate hike, so we could expect some continuation. Either way, I still see the monthly S1 as the best level for a possible continuation from that area. So we could see now that we got a lower high and a lower low and another lower low, and Friday Dixie did try to break back above the monthly pivot point, but it broke below once again and closed below that. As you see, we had this consolidation period, then we broke below that, a retest of the area, and then another little rejection down. This last push down could be profit takings, but it started early New York session, so it could as well be new bears entering the market. In any case, as far as we are below the monthly pivot point, I think there is a possibility that we see some more downside on the US dollar. The daily candle is also rejection candle, and the 4 hour, we see that we had the break, the retest, and probably now we're gonna get some more to the downside. So keep an eye on that. On a lower time frame, you could draw a trend line on this move and act based on the break of that. If we got that broken, retested, then there is possibly some more to the downside. So keep an eye on that. The 93.40 here gonna be an important level as well, short term, early next week. So the next pair is, or the next market is gold. Still an ugly chart, going sideways. As you see, this is the weekly time frame here. Since we broke below this neckline with this major candle, we're still trading below this support at around 1305 area. On the daily, as you see, after this break, we tried many times to break back above this resistant level, and gold is not managing to break back above and hold above this resistant level. I think as far as gold is having trouble to break above it, then there is more chance to the downside than the upside. For more upside on gold, it needs to break and hold above this previous high here at the 1305.04. A daily close above it, a retest on lower time frame that does not break back below could give it a chance to reach a little bit higher. As for now, it still look a bit heavy and having trouble. If you're new to trading, I will recommend you to stay out of this so far, because it is very, very choppy and spiky. And one could also argue that we probably having some kind of bearish flag here as well. But lower time frame, we have a couple of boxes that we've been trading. We had this range, then we broke to the higher range on this one here, like this, and then another range here. So we are ranging up and down all the time. Nothing new. It is still the same range we have. So 1303 and 1290-ish area is the range that need to be broken, and we're talking about this range need to be broken before anything longer term could happen on gold. So sideways so far. Oil, couple of strong bearish weeks, and last week was some kind of rejection from the monthly S1, as you see, but we're still not trading above the 66, which was an important support, and that need to be broken back again if oil will have a chance to move higher. On the daily time frame, impulse, correction, another impulse, and we could having some kind of correction. I still think we may see oil reach this level here, the outer trend line and the horizontal support at the 62.60 down here. As you see, this move to the upside was now broken with this with these two moves to the downside, the first impulse and the second one, and since then we've been trading sideways, and on lower time frame we have a better range to look at, and this is the range I want you to look at for the next week. We've been buying the lows, selling the highs, and nothing has changed yet, so keep doing so. You have a range between the 66.10 and the 64.30. This range need to be broken before any continuation. A break to the downside here could send oil back toward the 62.60, as I said, as a first trouble level. So keep an eye on that range. We need to leave that range for the possible continuation. If to the upside, then you should be looking for the retest that hold back above the 66. Then we may test these highs and the monthly pivot point up here. But for me, I think a little bit more downside is still possible on oil. Aussie, New Zealand, let's go to the daily on that one and take a look at that, even the weekly. As you see, we had this rejection followed by bearish engulfing, and last week was a bit of spike to the upside, but then the bears took control and pushed the price back below the open all the way back down. Daily time frame, now we do have a lower swing high here, as you see, lower than this one, so we could not continue the trend. This trend has started to the upside. We broke below this support, and then we tried to continue, but that wasn't possible. What is still a trouble area for the Aussie New Zealand before any continuation lower is this support down here at 1.077. As you see, it is a clear level now that we need to break below if Aussie New Zealand to continue lower. Right now, or last week, it did test that and did a little bit of a bounce, but then the week ended with a 4-hour bearish engulfing. As I said, for next week, if this to continue lower, you want to see this broken and retested on lower time frame. If that happen, as you see, there is nothing on the way to hold this trade, and could give you a nice trade of about 100 pips or 120 pips, depends on where it's gonna end. So as for now, it is a support level, so look at it at a possible support level. We may get early next week some kind of bounce back up, but then if it does that, we're gonna have this neckline to keep an eye at. It could be only a retest of this broken structure before another bounce lower. So these are the two short-term levels you have to look at, this down here and the neckline of this structure for Aussie New Zealand. Aussie USD, we've been looking at this for a possible continuation higher, but as you see, Thursday and Friday was bearish days, but Friday never broke and closed below this support here. We tested the area below, but then it was pushed all the way back up above support. So it is still valid and possible for me to speculate possible bounce once again, but it is a very tricky week, and as I said, there's a lots of news, so one should keep an eye on that before any big decision. On the 4-hour time frame, we broke basically below the neckline, but as I said, we got another push above resistance here. I see the 0.76 as an important resistance, and if Aussie USD managed to break back above it, then it may have a chance to test these highs up here. Otherwise, the next support level gonna be once again 0.75 on Aussie USD. But as you see, guys, it did retest this structure, couldn't hold above it, so everything is possible at such a scenario. We do have resistance, we do have support. It could give us a sideways week as well, so not the best chart in my opinion, so I would be very, very careful, or maybe take a very short-term trade if anything. Chief got very weak last Friday and on against all pairs, so after having this nice run to the upside that we could see better on the daily, the Friday candle was a very strong bearish candle, and then we've got pushed back up a little bit, but it is still a bearish engulfing candle, and I think Swissy Jappy still have some kind of possibility to continue to test this major support level for a real test, if this will continue higher or if it's gonna break and start testing the lows once again. So based on Friday move, as you see, it was a very, very strong move to the downside, so this couple of candles here could be based on some profit taking end of the week. I think both swing traders and day traders saw this area as a possible profit taking level. It is the low of the NFP low of this month, and yeah, this little push up here could only be a possible profit taking. So I still think that the pair could give us some more to the downside, testing this old important support on a daily, and if that broken, that we may start testing these lows and these lows for the next week. The reason we do have this level as a good support is based on the daily chart here. As you see, it have been a good area of confluence for support and resistance, so that's why. So keep an eye on that level. That's gonna be the key level for this chart next week. Euro Aussie did a very, very strong week, moved to the upside and up as a bullish week, but as you see, we do have wicks from both sides. On the daily time frame, we had this nice and strong push on Thursday, and Friday was a try to push higher and close above this high. If that would happen, one could expect some more upside on Euro Aussie, but as you see, it got rejected and we never closed above this. Now, for my taste of trading, I would love to see Euro Aussie reaching all the way to the structure here before giving us this rejection. To that would be a good level to try to short it from. So I still a bit uncertain about this pair, since this move here started also from not the best level. I would love to see this move starting from this important support and resistant level. That didn't happen, and the rejection we got last week didn't come from structure, so I have hard time to expect much more to the downside or to the upside, because it could do both ways in my opinion after such a great move. Once again, this could be profit taking as well. So for me, the monthly pivot point, this structure I'm looking at as first for next week. If tested, I will be looking for bearish evidence to try to short, targeting the lows down here. Otherwise, if it breaks and hold above this area, of course we will start looking for a possible continuation to at least test this neckline or even the higher one. But Euro also have a lot of important news next week, so we should be keep an eye on those headlines. EuroCAD did a very nice bearish engulfing last Friday at the retest of this inner trend line. As you see, could not break and hold above this structure, so this could be possible bearish signal on the pair based on Friday candle as a bearish engulfing happening at the retest of the trend line. For me, I'm be looking for the pair to break back below the monthly pivot point. If we got a break below the monthly pivot point, then there is a possibility for some continuation. The first trouble area is of course the NFP low here, and if that got broken, then we have some more room toward these lows down here. Euro JP did a very strong move to the upside, as you see. If we go to the weekly, we see rejection, a very strong rejection here, and last week was also a strong week at the beginning, reaching all the way to this level, but then we closed the week below this neckline and but above the high of this important rejection hammer. So for this pair as well, it is a bit tricky. Looking at the daily chart, we have a bearish structure still, since our structure here got broken. We have a lower low, we still have a lower high, much lower than this high here. So for this trend to really called over, we need to see Euro JP breaking and closing above the 131.45 to start saying that the trend is over, this downtrend. And the thing is that last week we did the retest of this broken structure. I didn't expect it to move so much deep inside this area, so it wasn't easy to say that we're gonna short it. I did try to short here but got stopped out, but then after this signal and this flag on the 1 hour, it was much easier to take the decision to short this breakout to the downside. So what I'm looking at for next week, I'm expecting the pair to probably give us another leg down to test the support down here at the NFP low here. It is a good and possible support level. and if that broken, that will open the doors to test these lows down here around the 125 area. So this is an interesting chart for next week actually. To the upside, the first trouble is a clear level that gonna be once again the 129.50-ish area. That could give it some trouble and possible move lower. So these are the levels for the pair. Keep an eye on that. Euro New Zealand hold actually broke this first support, but then broke back and hold above it. Still not the most convenient move behind it. Friday was bearish engulfing candle, and one could see this as a possible correction. Hard to tell yet. As you see here, the important level gonna be once again if we reach this previous support area here, to see if we're gonna get another bounce up. So we should be looking for bullish evidence at this level down here. For a continuation lower, we need to break below these lows, and the next trouble area gonna be down here. So for the downside, I think it's gonna be a little bit hard traded because the level is not clean. As you see, we do have these lows here that need broken and close below to give you certain to be more certain that it's gonna goes lower. But then the next support level is not that far away, so be aware of that. That gonna be it won't be easy to short when you do not have lots of room. Any case, we see the pair trading back above these highs like this. I think you could see this as a possible continuation move. First trouble is this swing high, and if that got broken, then we going to reach these highs up here. That is the scenario if we trade back above the 1.6765 area. Euro USD, also the start of this up move was a good and legit level. I think since we broke and hold above 1.17 now, it is a good level to see as a possible support to the downside. As I said last week, we've been trading inside this range, and I said that nothing will happen before we break outside of this range. We did a dip and then a bounce higher, consolidation, and another move higher. It looks very, very strong here, but then mid Thursday or late Thursday we start moving lower, entering Friday and continued lower. So for Euro USD, I still think the 1.17 is an important support level, and that is the level where we should be looking for a possible bounce if this will continue higher, or at least test these highs. A break and close below that gonna be a possible bearish signal and give the bears more opportunities to try to push it lower. As for next week, and as I said, we do have the FOMC day after, followed by the ECB, so this is gonna be a very bumpy ride. So I would recommend a new trader to stay away of that until everything has settled. Sterling Aussie did a very nice bottom here. After this strong move below, we got another push higher, consolidation or correction again, and another push up. I think now, since we broke and hold above this important support level at 1.76 up here, which is the coming from the structure since the Brexit moved to the downside, As you see, it is an important support and resistant here, support here, and been acting as resistant in the past. So it is a good and important level to look at for next week. Had this candle from Friday closed at the highs up here, that would be a much stronger signal that we may keep pushing higher to at least reach these levels up here. Now that didn't happen on Friday, and we've got a very strong bearish engulfing candle, as you see, which make it a little bit harder to expect continuation. So keep an eye on this support level down here. This neckline, I think, gonna be a key level for next week. If it holds, then there is a possibility for continuation. Otherwise, if we break below and hold below, then we're gonna start testing these lows or maybe lower. All depends on, I think sterling need to have these numbers to be on the green side, the manufacturing and the average earnings. CPI, very, very important. As you see, we've been going down since 3%, 2.7, 2.5, 2.4. So the CPI gonna be a very, very important number. If we get a good CPI, then sterling may get much, much stronger, and we're gonna get some hint about that when we see the manufacturing and the average earnings for the sterling. So very interesting week indeed. Sterling CAD also did a very nice rounded bottom. I do like these when they happen, and usually when we got such a nice rounded bottom, we get the continuations. But as you see, last Friday we've got a bearish engulfing on the daily, which make it a little bit harder to expect continuation yet. So we need to have some more evidence on lower time frame. But the close ended at a good support level, the neckline, and it was a previous support and resistant level in the past. The monthly pivot point is there as well. But look, the day closed at the lows, showing almost no profit taking at all. And we do have all this these Brexit headlines coming all the time, so you should keep an eye on that. So for sterling CAD, I think where the price is testing right now is an important area to keep an eye at. We could see possible bullish evidence at this level, and if that happen, any bullish engulfing candle, for example on the 4-hour or something like that, could be a possible reason for continuation. But let's not forget, it was a very strong move here on Friday. You could also try to make some kind of channel and follow that and see if it's gonna maintain inside the channel or not. But as you see, every time we got a push to the upside, we get a deep correction, push to the upside, a deep correction. So the correction been deep and showing no real momentum as the bearish move had here. So we had strong moves, shallow correction, strong move, shallow correction. But here, strong move but a strong correction as well make things much, much harder to trade and predict. Sterling USD, let's go to the weekly. Weekly time frame, we do have a confirmed Morningstar formation, which is a possible reversal pattern that is on the weekly. Now we are also trading near this important support and resistance level back to Brexit, as you see here. Not the strongest week, but it's still a bullish week, a close below above the high of the earlier week. So the move to the upside have some lack of momentum, as you see, especially when we reach this monthly pivot point and that Brexit support and resistance level. So we go sideways and spiking to the both up and down. It also established some kind of channel, let's say almost the same channel that we had on sterling CAD as well. And it seems like this ascending channel still holding so far. Despite this whole move to the downside, we've got a bullish engulfing on Friday, pushing the price back toward that resistant level. So it for the 4-hour time frame, the structure is still bullish, and we could expect some continuation to test these highs anyway. So keep an eye on that for next week. New Zealand USD, the momentum faded out during these days here. As you see, we've had a nice push up here as well, and this one, but then there was no continuation in the momentum. These highs was a good resistance, couldn't give any close, daily close above this previous swing high here, and all the wicks start coming from the upside. So it lost the momentum, but on the 4-hour time frame, it is still could be considered a bullish move or bullish structure. This was our last high here. We still have some kind of higher low we never broke and closed below this low, so it's still possible that we may see continuation, but I'm afraid that we're losing momentum, and that on the 4-hour we broke below this low here and made a lower low, and we do have a lower high. So the best level for me, I think, is to start looking for the monthly pivot point, this structure here. If we got that correction down here, to look for a possible bounce from that level based on this lost momentum. Otherwise, you could be looking at this possible range and keep following if we're gonna go sideways to see a break outside of that. If that happened to the upside, then it may open, if this happened, it may open the door for more upside on the pair. But as I said, I didn't like that it did lose momentum as much as we had here this whole consolidation week. USD CAD, the ugliest chart of them all, I would say. These last couple of months, as you see, no real direction. We're still sideways, spiking up and down. Very ugly and hard traded for new traders. You need to go to lower time frame to be able to catch any, if any, to catch from this chart. I still see this area here around the 1.30 as an important resistance level. Looking at the daily, we still have trouble to break and close above it and hold above it. So the short-term range is up here, 1.30. The monthly pivot point down here could be your mid-range, and the 1.28 is the first better support level, and then we have this structure down here. So yeah, once again, for next week, keep an eye on this level. We could get another bounce up and down again. The best levels, in my opinion, are still up here. The 130, 128 is also a good support level, and even the 1.2750 could be a good support level. Not the best chart. Stay away of it if you are new to trading. You see it clearly here. This mid-range here is an important level as well, been tested many times. So we're gonna for sure see some trouble here as well, when and if it reaches for next week. USD Jappy, also no clean continuation, no clean chart at all. Lower low here, lower than these, and lower high, and up and down. Some kind of consolidation, push higher then push lower. Still not the best longer term chart to trade, but short term trades you do have some good level to look at. The 110 still acting as important level. The monthly pivot point down here and the NFP low still acting as good support that you could use as possible support for the continuation of this consolidation. Otherwise, if we break once again and below this, then we may expect another push toward 108.50, which is the better and stronger support on this chart. If we manage to hold about 110 once again, that could be a strong signal for the bulls to start pushing higher. But as you see, we tried, it didn't really hold. We pushed back below 110 once again. So when you're waiting for these break and retest, you want to see break above, and then that the retest, as it happened here, give you a push higher, a break and a break above previous high. But as you see on the 1 hour, we failed to break above these highs and pushed back down, and the retest was failed to enter back above. Another retest failed. So the bears took this as a good signal and start selling all the way back down here toward these lows, flag and another impulse. So right now on lower time frame, we could have some kind of consolidation and another push lower. That is possible as well. And Dow, very strong, both the Dow and the S&P 500. Looking on the weekly time frame, you see it much clearer and better. It was a very strong week that did close at the highs, almost no profit taking at all. We broke above this high as well. And looking at the chart on the weekly, you see that our first real resistance is up here at the highs of this week. So 25,800 gonna be an important resistant level. We go down to the daily. You see that we, after this push lower, when we broke below this support, was expecting a retest and continuation, maybe some more to the downside, but that didn't happen. We got some consolidation, and then it just start flying up after the break of this trend line here. So it was a clean move and break above in continuation. Now, since we broke above this high, I said in our trading room that we look for the retest and possibly continuation, and that what we got. So we got the break above, the retest, didn't really test the exact level. It tested this high up here. If we move it a little bit higher to reach this wick, you see that happening here, and boom, continuation. So there is some more room to the upside for the Dow, and we've had this G7 summit going on this weekend. So I think any correction lower could be a reason to buy the Dow in anticipation to reach these highs. Before that, we do have this high to take care of as well. So intra-week for the next week, test of the 25,500 would be a good target up here. So keep an eye on that level. If broken, we do have this next structure here to test as well. So yeah, that was the last market for today. Thank you guys very much for your support. Please, as I said, click the like button if you like these market overview. And yeah, see you out there, Facebook, Telegram, and in our trading room. Bye bye.